We're going to go back to a regular equation to talk about how to solve a two-step. So first we draw our line down. Remember our steps, we have check for distribution, check for combining like terms, check to see if there's letters on both sides, and then we can start moving the letters to one side, the numbers to the other. Since I have x's only on the left, I can move my constant to the right. The opposite of minus 5 is going to be plus 5. If I do plus 5 on the left, I do plus 5 on the right. 2x equals 16. The 2 is next to the x. To undo that, that means multiply right now, so I would need to divide. Divide by 2 on both sides. The 2's divide out so that we have 1x equals 8. 1x is the same as x, and that equals 8. So 8 will be my answer. I did want to show you another way that you can check yourself using Desmos, and a lot of you are going to really like this way. This way is on our memory sheet, our supplemental aid, where it says box, and I'm not sure, I think there's no equal sign in the middle, box, box. Here's what that means. That means we're going to get into Desmos, and in one box, we're going to type in y equals, and we're going to type in this front side. So let me clear this out. So it's going to be y equals, and then this left side of the original equation. Then we're going to go type in y equals, and then the right side. And I've already done that for you right here. So we typed in both of those, y equals and y equals, and then we find where they cross, and we get a point. Now, which one of those numbers is our answer? The question has x's in it, right here, an x. So we want to know what x is equal to. So if you remember that in a point goes x and then y, we want that first value. So your answer, the number that's in the x spot, is 8. And that's what we got. So you can also start checking yourself with Desmos using that method as well. All right, now let's go over to the literal equation. And we're going to do the same steps. It's just going to look a little bit different. We're going to solve for m. So I'm going to highlight my m. And so what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to get rid of the things that are by that piece. Okay, we're going to leave the piece itself alone, and we're going to move what's next to it. The opposite of minus 9 is a plus 9. We're going to do that on both sides. And so the 9's, negative 9 and positive 9, zero out. So we have two m's equal, and now I have f plus 9. Can you put f plus 9 together into one piece? No, because they are not alike. You have an f piece, and then you have a plain number piece. Now we're going to try to get our m alone again. And to do that, we need to go and undo multiplication, because remember that when they are side by side, that means multiply. So we're going to divide both sides. So we're going to divide both sides by 2, like this. The 2's divide out. So we have 1m equals f plus 9 over 2. Now here we actually have something interesting that's going to start happening, and this is going to happen in one of the ones that you're going to have to do together. Depending on how we want the answer, this is actually a possible answer right here, f plus 9 over 2. But we can also do something that I like to call the heart, which is also on our memory chart, the heart, and it's where you break it up. If the entire side is being divided by 2, we can say that each piece needs to be divided by 2. So we can say m equals f divided by 2, and that's this part that I just did right here. And then you can also go to the other side and say a positive 9 divided by 2. And since we're in algebra, we can actually leave it like that, 9 over 2. This is a terminating decimal, so you could possibly also change it to that decimal. It would be 4.5. But this is also another correct answer. So we have two possible answers for this question. The next one, we have x divided by negative 8. To undo divide, let me highlight. Oh, we don't need to highlight for this one. To undo divide by negative 8, we are going to multiply by negative 8 on both sides. And when you multiply by negative 8, it needs to be on the top or in the middle. Do not put your multiply by negative 8 on the bottom, so that your 8's divide out and your negatives divide out. So again, A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we have our positive x. And then if you need help on your multiplication rules, 11 times a negative 8 is a negative 88. So again, I wanted to express to you how you can do this on Desmos. This is box equals box. And so you can go into Desmos and you can type in y equals, and then what's on the left side, and y equals and what's on the right side. And that's what I have down here. I don't know if you can see it. So we have y equals x over negative 8, and we have y equals 11. You might have to push, pull, and drag your screen until you find where your lines cross. And here they cross at negative 88, 11. Again, in your question, what are you looking for? You're looking for x. So there's these two numbers. If you know that x comes first, you know that the answer would be negative 88. So as we start doing these questions, like for example in a testing environment, you have now two different ways that you can do this question. You can solve it by hand, or you can type it into Desmos. Now when we move over here to the literal equation, we're not going to be able to type this one into Desmos, so you do have to know the steps. But I did want to show you so that if there are numbers that you could work it that way. To undo, divide by 3, we would multiply both sides by 3. The 3's divide out, so all we have is a y. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so these divide out and we just have our 1y. 1y equals h times 3, and typically in algebra we don't say h times 3, we put the number first. 3h would be the same answer, and this is what we want. So this is another example of solving the literal equation. We have one more example, solving a regular equation. And so we are going to draw our line down the center. And this time our variable is on the right side. And so I'm going to solve it with it on the right side. And that is absolutely okay. So again, we're going to leave this term, we're going to leave this piece alone, and we're going to try to get rid of the piece after it, plus 26. The opposite of plus 26 is minus 26. And so now on the right, these are zero pairs. They're opposites. Same number, but one's positive, one's negative. So 0 out, so we have 2x. And then over here, you can go type that into Desmos if you need it, but that should be a negative 12. Then we're going to do our next step in solving. 2 times x, because they're side by side. To undo times, you're going to divide. If we divide on one side, we divide on the other. 2x divided by 2, the 2's divide out, so we have 1x. And I can just write it like that, x. And then negative 12 divided by 2 is a negative 6. Again, since there's only one variable, we can go and check this one on Desmos. This is going to be box equals box. So we're going to type them in. Y equals, y equals. So that's what I did down here. Y equals 14, y equals 2x plus 26. And I find where they cross. I'm going to push, pull, and drag my screen around until I get that intersection. Remembering that we're looking for our x value from our question. The x number comes first. So that answer is going to be a negative 6. And that's what we got. So we know that we did it right. So that really comes in handy when you have regular equations. Now the Desmos will not help us whenever we're doing literal equations because there's more than one letter. So we're going to have to follow our solving equation steps. So I highlighted my V. You should be doing the same. And then we're going to leave that term, leave that piece alone. And we're going to get rid of the piece next to it. How do we get rid of plus 5? The opposite of plus 5 is minus 5. Those zero out. So I have 7 V's equals, and then on the other side, can we do 3 minus 5? And the answer to that is no. And the reason, hopefully you're starting to think, why isn't that possible? The reason is because there's a letter. Those are not like terms. So we're going to write them side by side. You cannot put the 3 W's with the negative 5 and get one answer. You're going to have two pieces now because one piece is the W, the other piece is the constant. Now we're going to go and we are going to do our next step. We're going to separate the 7 from the V. 7 right next to V means multiply. To undo multiply, you're going to divide on both sides. Dividing by 7 on both sides now gets rid of the 7's on the right. So we have our V and we have our equal sign. And this is a case where, again, I'm not quite sure how we want the answer. This answer that we already have that I'm just circling is a possible answer depending on what kind of multiple choice we're given. If there's no multiple choice, that answer is correct and you can stop. But sometimes, again, we're going to break it up. So this is when we do the heart. So the left side of the heart is going to be 3W's over 7. And we just take that left side. When the entire side is being divided by the number, you can break it up. And then the right side is going to be the negative 5 over 7. And please notice when I wrote negative 5 over 7, it now kind of looks like minus 5/7. And that is also correct. So this is another version of a correct answer.